Now, on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
It's just 5:06 in the morning, but it feels like midday because there's been so much going on in the world already as we run down what we're going to talk about this morning on O'Connor and Company. Thanks for joining us. Does it feel like that sometimes, Patrice? It's like, okay, we're starting the show.
Goodness. Yes.
But we've already been through the whole,
We've been through a week's worth of news in 3 hours or 4 hours of the morning.
Coming up at 7:05 this morning, Mark Moyer, former U.S. Agency for International Development. Oh, that's USAID, for those of you who are playing at home. Former director of USAID and a whistleblower. He's going to tell his story about what happened when he tried to point out what that agency was doing. 7:35, Ian Pryor, talk about Title IX, talk about the fact that the NCAA has officially said no men and women's sports. So will Loudoun County get on board, or any other Northern Virginia school system? 8:05, our friend Raymond Arroyo give us a preview of what the Super Bowl is going to be like down in his hometown of New Orleans. And then at 8:35, Brett Baer, Fox News Channel. Hey, Patrice Onwuka, good morning to you.
Good morning. Happy Friday, Larry.
Thank you. You can expand on that.
Oh, well,
it has
been, it's a Friday because of the win for women's sports, not the end. We've still got a lot more work to do, but a Friday in that way. And the fact that we are alive, ladies, we're wearing red today in honor of women's health. I'm wearing my brightest red that I could find in my closet. There's a lot to be happy about.
All right, so women, as you're figuring out what to wear, can men wear red too in support of
absolutely,
women's health?
Absolutely. We're women who don't hate
hold
women.
On. I need you to unpack this for me because I hear people on CNN say women's health, and I immediately think they're talking about the ability to kill a baby. So,
no.
And I know that's not what you're talking about. So let's be specific.
No, I'm talking about women's heart health. Women's heart health.
Heart health.
Yes, and so
when it comes to raise awareness that women have heart issues, because that's true. Usually you think about men having heart attacks. You think about men having, but apparently women. Actually, the odds are that women have more heart. Although, to be fair, women's heart attacks. Not to be fair, there's no unfairness here, but just because I've looked at this, it's like, women actually have more heart attacks and die from heart attacks more than men do. But those heart attacks that women die from are often in the advanced years. So you don't often hear about women having a heart attack at the age of 40 like you hear men do, right? Tragically dying young because of heart problems. If a woman is going to die from heart attack or from poor heart health, I think it's when they're much, much older. Not to minimize it, I'm just saying that's why you don't hear about it as often. That
may be the case. I mean, apparently cardiovascular disease is the #1 killer of women. So, I mean, if you don't count abortions, probably. But but I think it's important for us to recognize that no matter how young a woman your age is, you want to make sure that you're doing whatever you need to have good heart health, whether that's eating, that's dieting, or whatever you need to do to make those life changes. Today. So we're wearing red today. If you see a lot of news anchors, in particular female news anchors, wearing red, you are not going crazy. That's what's going on.
Here's the problem when I wear red. I often, I'll put on a nice red polo or a red T-shirt of sorts, and then I often wear khaki pants. I either wear jeans or I wear khakis.
And you look like you work for Target.
Exactly. If I'm wearing my red shirt and I wear my khakis and I'm walking through a Target to pick up something, half of the people stop me and say, "Excuse me, sir, where are the men's socks? Excuse me, sir, where can I get? Where's the electronics department?"
Wear a red tie, maybe a red handkerchief, a red cap, I'm sure is fine. Some flaming red pants, tempered with a nice white button-down shirt, I think does the job as well.
You say that like I don't have a pair of flaming red pants, and
I'm sure.
I wouldn't jump
will
out
I
to
see
that
them at
conclusion.
CPAC in a couple weeks? I think I'll see them there, right?
We shall see. So those are good reasons for this to be a Friday. This was also going to be a Friday for a lot of federal workers. 2% of the federal workforce had opted into the buyout offer they were given by the Trump administration. The deadline was this morning, like 5 hours ago, right? It was supposed to be
at midnight last night.
So 40,000 employees,
I believe
upwards
it's up
to 2%
60.
of the workforce. Oh,
I
all
believe
right. So that's
as
about
of last night, it had
of
been
the
about
workforce.
60. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
3% of the federal workforce have said, okay, let's go. I'll take the buyout, 8 months pay as a severance, and you walk away and start a new career if you want, or just keep your pension frozen where it is and right off into the sunset and retirement, whatever. But now apparently a federal judge out of Massachusetts has put a hold on that. And I don't quite understand this. I know you've read into this, the Wall Street Journal report on this federal judge's hold, because it seems to me that if your employer, the federal government, offers you a buyout and you willingly volunteer to take it, why should a judge be able to step in and prevent that from happening?
I would 100% agree.
Advised consent on every side of the equation here.
Well, I would 100% agree, but talk to the union. So the American Federation of Government Employees and other union groups are the ones who are suing to block the offer. They're saying that they don't believe that the promised salaries will come through because funding has only been appropriated by Congress through March. Hello, we know that Congress obviously is going to continue to fund the federal government. So the salaries, you don't have to worry about that. So really, this is just a lawsuit to try to stop this buyout from happening. It's the unions, not surprisingly, because they're the only ones who want to negotiate salaries and pay and benefits for anybody in anyone's workforce. And they thought that, if a bunch of their union members disappear, then what happens to them? So what this means next, well, there's going to be a hearing on Monday to see if a temporary restraining order will be granted. It leaves a lot of folks in limbo who thought, well, you know what? Come Monday, I can start looking for a new job. I can start doing other things. That said, this hits close to home. I do have a family member in the federal workforce, and we've been reading all of these updates, and I have some inside details that probably our listeners have as well. But it is the case that you would still be required to continue to work at least for for some period of time, because you don't want to be too disruptive to the entire federal workforce if 60,000 people just did not show up and all of the projects and everything that needs to get done doesn't get done or isn't transferred seamlessly to other staff who are remaining.
Or, as Cynic would say, that the federal workers' unions are concerned that those 60,000 people don't show up on Monday and hardly anyone notices. And there isn't a crisis. And all of those projects they were working on are easily picked up by whoever is left standing there. Or, the world keeps spinning. That could be part of the problem. Here's what's happening, though. Office of Personnel Management under the new regime, and Russ Vought, who is the director of OMB, who's just been approved and confirmed by the Senate yesterday, they're going to start installing brand new job performance metrics so that people who are federal employees will be scrutinized, they will be evaluated, and if they're not up to snuff, they're going to be removed from the workforce, and it won't be as good a package as they're getting right now. So,
bingo.
It seems to me that it's a good plan, and you're right. It's the union does not want this to happen because then it renders them somewhat irrelevant as well.
Well, you hit on a really good point, Larry, and I've been saying this to other people. The federal government was already saying there are going to be layoffs, and particularly if the goal of 10% or even 5% of the workforce does not take this buyout offer, you're going to have layoffs, and that may not even be performance-based layoffs. That just may be general layoffs where you don't have as generous a severance package. So you know what? If you're one of those people who goofs off, and listen, I know there are a lot of great federal workers trying to save our taxpayers' dollars. It's saving pennies on contracts negotiated, but then there are a lot of people who will play chess and checkers while they should be in a training program. I'm not calling out names. Those are the folks who need to pack up their bag, take the offer, get the hint, because there's a new sheriff in town, and frankly, new sheriffs across the federal agencies.
It is 5:15.
WMAL, making sense of the news. Live from the Home Paramount Pest Control Studios. Home Paramount, the leader in pest control since 1939.
Right now, achoo. All right, yesterday, by the way, we had Mercedes Schlepp on yesterday. We were celebrating President Trump signing that executive order barring men from women's sports. huge celebration day. And, of course, I went out of my way to make sure that I congratulated everyone at Independent Women's Forum who really drove the bus, literally, on the bus tour to save Title IX.
That's right.
On this issue for the last several years. And I specifically said, of course, my on-air partners in crime, Julie Gunlock and you, Patrice Onwuka, so congratulations on that. And while we had Riley Gaines on to talk about it yesterday, I asked her, so what about the NCAA? What are they going to do about this now? And she said, well, I know that I feel like they want to do the right thing, but they've been afraid of the activists and the people screaming and all of the radicals, and so we'll see. Well, just hours after that conversation yesterday with Riley Gaines, the NCAA officially made their announcement. Transgender participation in NCAA collegiate competitive sports ends immediately.
Amen.
It's over. It's amazing. NCAA has officially changed its gender eligibility policies to ban all biological males from women's sports just one day after that executive order, according to the Fox News write-up. Quote, a student athlete assigned male at birth, may not compete on a women's team, the new policy reads. This is huge, so huge, and good for the NCAA. It took them long enough. But and here's the lesson, everybody. Presidential leadership matters.
Yes.
And NCAA was not going to do anything about this, Patrice, and then within 24 hours of that executive order, because all the skeptics, well, it's just an executive order, it doesn't make a difference. Well, it's true. We do need some legislation. But leadership matters, and sending a signal matters. And I would venture to say, Patrice, that iconic, once-in-a-lifetime, what every president dreams of having, photo opportunity image of the president signing that EO surrounded by women of all ages dressed in their uniforms for sports, that made an impact too. NCAA looked themselves in the mirror and said, we claim we care about female athletes. We claim we care about women's sports. It's time to actually do something that demonstrates we really do.
You know how we know that is 100% accurate, Larry? In their own press statement. They said, quote, we strongly believe that clear, consistent, and uniform eligibility standards would best serve today's student athletes. To that end, President Trump's order provides a clear national standard. It is absolutely an important move. And you know what we're going to see? I'm looking forward to what happens to all of these trans athletes, these boys pretending to be girls. Are they going to now participate in sports with their own sex as assigned, their own sex? I'm not even going to say as assigned at birth. Are the boys going to compete with boys now? Or are they just going to drop out? If they drop out, that tells me they're more interested in racking up wins, competing against girls that they know they could beat, rather than trying to actually be the best athlete they could and compete against other boys or their own sex. I mean, this is so important, and I can't wait for this to go up the chain to all of the professional sports leagues, internationally as well. This needs to stop, and thank God I feel like we're finally coming out of the wilderness, because 2 years ago it felt dark in this country and frankly globally for athletes.
You're right, Patrice. Well, it felt dark globally this summer at the Olympics in Paris when we had to witness a man pretending to be a woman literally beat the hell out of a woman in a boxing ring. The next Olympic Games will be in Los Angeles, California, and, well, this is the law of the land in America. So I think if the Olympics want to participate here, they need to follow our laws. We'll see if that happens. This whole thing about biologically assigned at birth, it's so unscientific. I'm told that, science needs to prevail in all these arguments. So let's be very scientific and biologically clear. Somebody's sex assigned at conception. That's when it happens. We all know that.
That is when it happens.
We've seen what happens. You got a sperm, you got an egg, the chromosomes begin to meld, and you know whether you're an XX or an XY at that moment, all right? One other item here, as the dominoes start to fall, Patrice. New York Post is reporting that 3 former athletes from the University of Pennsylvania, where Leah Thomas famously swam as a woman, is now suing that school and the Ivy League Council of Presidents and Athletics Organizations, saying that they violated federal law allowing this man to swim as a woman and compete against them, and they want Leah Thomas's records to be wiped off of the books.
Very good.
And removed from the collegiate athletic record database. So we'll see how that goes. Something tells me they'll settle that.
Folks have to remember, while people say America is a highly litigious society, lawsuits serve a very important purpose. And sometimes, whether you're talking about suing hospitals over, butchering little girls and boys because they're misled to believe they're in the wrong body, or it is, suing some of these universities over their practices and treatments of biological women when it comes to sports, you have to do it because these organizations, these colleges, these institutions, and companies are fearful of lawsuits. And so it doesn't just handle the wrong that was done in the past, it prevents future wrong from happening in the future, and it becomes a snowball effect. Same thing with DEI. I welcome the lawsuits. I welcome the legislation at the state level and the federal level. It all works together. And God bless the ladies at IWF. I barely did anything. I really, the kudos go to all these women who've worked so hard.
Well, it was a hard fight, and they racked up a major win, and it's a beautiful thing to see. 5:23.
Now, on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app, O'Connor and Company.
We're getting you going on this Friday morning in the nation's capital. Thanks so much. Thanks so much for tuning in here. It's 5:36, and we got a busy day. 7:05. Really excited to talk to Mark Moyer. Now, he was the former director of USAID, and he was a whistleblower. Mm-hmm. He saw what was going on. He's going to tell us his story and also what they did to him when he started revealing what was happening at USAID. 7:35. Ian Pryor talk about how Northern Virginia schools now have to step up and respond to the new rules that there's just two sexes and you treat boys and girls in their own private spaces in your public schools. You ready, Fairfax? You ready, Alexandria? 8:05, Raymond Arroyo out of New Orleans, talk about the Super Bowl this weekend, and then 8:35, Brett Baer. You're Patrice Onwuka. I know you. Hey, Patrice, are you? Do you have a rooting interest in this football game, or are you like the rest of America, and you're just rooting against the Philadelphia Eagles?
I'm rooting against the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't know. They have not grown on me, and listen, maybe I'll be looking to see if Taylor Swift runs out on the field. Maybe. I was proven wrong. I thought this relationship was going to be done quick and over in a hurry, but apparently maybe it's legit. So that's probably what I'll be looking for. And the halftime show.
You immediately flipped to the Taylor Swift issue, and God bless you for it. Lord knows we're going to get plenty of it at the Super Bowl. All right. Let's talk about Al Green, shall we? Right? No one better than Al Green. The Reverend. Yeah. Sadly, it's not that Al Green we have to talk about. We have to talk about the lunatic congressman from Texas who, if you'll remember right, just this week decided he was going to do what he always does. It's like the only thing he knows how to do, call for the impeachment of Donald Trump. Here he is.
Oh, okay.
Ethnic cleansing has been a crime against humanity. And I stand here today in the well to denounce what was said, to denounce what the president said, to denounce the complicity of the prime minister of Israel.
All right. That's enough of that. So Al Green goes on C-SPAN to do like a victory lap because he thinks he's going to, he thinks it's 2017 all over again, which, by the way, in 2017, just weeks into the Trump administration, he did the same thing and called for impeachment. So here he is making his case on C-SPAN about how great he is. Listen, cut through.
Congressman Pete Aguilar, who is the number 3 House Democrat, was asked yesterday about your impeachment offer, and he said it's not a focus of the caucus. Your response?
Well, I think he's right. I don't differ with him. By the way, he's a good man. I don't differ with him. It's not a focus now, but the impeachment, the march toward impeachment started yesterday. I laid the foundation for impeachment when President Trump was first elected. Filed 3 articles of impeachment, and the last one had 99 members of Congress on it. It was approaching half of the Democratic caucus. Speaker Pelosi did a prudent thing. She said, let's move forward with it.
He's basically saying, hey, I've been down this road before, and eventually the rest of the Democrats become just as lunatic as I am, okay? So don't give it time. They'll go crazy. All right.
Larry, imagine if your elevator pitch is, hello, my name is Al Green, not the one who makes awesome music, but the one who impeaches President Trump time and time again. I even got a bunch of people to join me. Will you join me too by giving me $5 at algreen.com? I mean, that's all he's doing. That's all he's doing, fundraising and trying to make a name for himself.
Funny you should say that. He's doing Washington Journal with C-SPAN. It's in the same building they do Fox News there by Union Station,
yes.
Just across from the Capitol. And he said, and of course they take calls.
Yes, they do.
And
I've done it
somebody
before.
decided, one of the unwashed masses, one of the lovely Americans decided to call in and speak with Congressman Green of Texas and echoed much of what you were just saying. Listen to this beautiful moment. Al Green, this is what democracy looks like or sounds like. Cut 4.
And when these impeachment signs start going up around the country, when people see these signs, I assure you, the pressure is going to be on Congress to do something. Impeachment doesn't mean that he will be removed from office, but it will say to the country that this is what we stand for. It's been said that the protests don't have a plan. Well, the plan is here. This is the plan. Protest, complain now, impeach later.
Let's get to calls because the lines have lit up. Richard in Savannah, Georgia, Republican. You're up first, Richard.
Thank you. I watched you yesterday with the Democrat Party out protesting everything that Elon Musk is trying to do for the American people. The USAID is a 100% a money laundering scheme around the world, kickbacks back to the Democrat Party, whether it's through the Clinton Foundation in Haiti, $4.4 billion, and $84 million went to her daughter, Chelsea Clinton. All y'all have is impeachments and race and gender, et cetera, and you actually do nothing for the people of America today. I think the Democrats should sit back and let America see what it's like to reduce the people in government, the wasteful spending. And all y'all can do is just complain and be negative, and we're sick of it. And also,
Richard, let's have the congressman.
That's my favorite part. And he said, and also, that's enough. No, there you go. So it wasn't quite the victory lap Al Green was hoping for.
Yeah, I think that caller was spot on. And you know how we know he's spot on? Because of all of the nonprofit organizations, not just the Clinton foundations, but the smaller places that are crying now that they're losing all their USAID money. Well, yeah, stop trying to push DEI in Serbia, right? Stop trying to do these ridiculous trans plays in Peru or whatever, funding surgeries, trans surgeries in other countries. We don't want to even fund it here. So I just love that Al Green thought, the American people are going to love to see the impeachment signs go up around the country.
That's right.
They're not.
No, they're not. Mark Moyer, former director of USAID, is going to join us about that and much more at 7:05. Right now it's 5:44. Generally speaking, CNN is somewhat unwatchable, except something does happen remarkably in prime time when Scott Jennings sits at a panel. Usually it's one man against the host, Abby Phillips, and a ton of other liberal. It tends to always be liberal Democrat women. Have you noticed that they sort of populate that table with against?
And they'll throw a Democrat black man too in there as well once in a while. But yes. No, not a lot of white men. Not a lot of white men.
No. Scott represents for all of us. Thank you. So Jennings is there, and listen, everyone says and Scott Jennings is great. But the best part about Scott Jennings at this point at CNN is that they become so unhinged sitting at the table with him that they are like going out of they're bending over backwards to try to win, to try to make some point against him, and they end up being more hysterical. So it's like he doesn't even have to say anything sometimes.
He just lets them speak.
He just lets them speak, which is exactly what happened the other night. There was a discussion about DEI, of course, And there was an African-American woman, Patrice. Her name is Ashley Allison. Apparently she worked in the Biden administration, and, well, she's out of work now. So she's looking to get a gig, and she is an analyst. She's a paid analyst on CNN. And she was so intent on proving that our nation is racist, sexist, and DEI initiatives are necessary for people like her to achieve, that to make her point, well, I'll let you listen and you'll see what happened when she tried to explain and demonstrate why this is so critical. Take a listen.
I do not have the same opportunity as you. I know I don't.
And you know
and
that
I know
too.
Let's go.
And you know that.
Let me just tell you about me.
I'm gonna let you finish, but I want to answer this.
I'm not talking about how you feel. I'm talking about how I feel. Me, a black woman in this country.
But not in this city.
And I will run. And if you want
I'm a New Yorker, not in this city. You cannot say that. You can't say that in this city.
I'm not talking about New York. I'm talking about Ashley.
Let her finish.
Right here. I got a law degree, a master's, and 2 bachelors. Probably more education than all of y'all added up together at this table, right? And I have always been the least paid person on payroll at every institution I have worked in. And it's not because...
Even in the White House?
Even in the White House.
Well, whose fault is that? I don't think he worked for George W. or Trump.
Well, guess what happened when I was there? DEI.
Oh my gosh.
Look.
She put her own foot in her own mouth.
Let me prove to you how sexist and racist are. I have all these degrees, and I'm always the lowest paid person. You know, like when I worked in the Obama White House or the Biden White House, or right here on CNN. She's literally throwing CNN.
Gosh.
CNN is so racist and sexist. It's amazing.
Maybe she's in negotiations and she's trying to sweeten the pot. I mean, honestly, this is what you hear from a lot of black women, particularly the black elite women who are educated. A lot of them belong to some of these sororities, black historic sororities. They have multiple degrees, which means they also have a lot of student loan debt, which is why they want it forgiven under Biden. And they feel there is a little bit of sense of entitlement. You know, my degree should automatically mean that I'm making the most in the room, not the least in the room. Well, how does she know she makes the least in the room? And then what goes into individuals' pay? We at IWF we debunk it all the time. It's not necessarily discrimination. Maybe it's negotiation. Maybe it is, maybe it's the kind of job, the seniority. Maybe it's, there are lots of different factors that can explain why there are disparities in how men and women are paid, like the pay gap and other ways. So, I listen. I do believe, as a black woman, for those who are listeners who don't know, excuse me, I am a black woman, and I'm educated. I don't flaunt my education because that's not what makes me. What makes me is my character and what I can deliver to those who contract me or employ me. And that's not the argument she's making. The argument I make is about merit and what are you bringing to the table and what are you negotiating for yourself. What she's arguing for is DEI, which is you've got to pull somebody back from this table so that I could be advanced a little bit more simply because of my skin and my gender, and that is wrong, and it's probably illegal, as the Supreme Court has told us recently.
Well, I just love the fact that she was so intent and determined to make her point that the only way she could do it is to testify personally about how sexist and racist and discriminatory the Democrat-run White Houses and CNN are that she's worked for. It's like, if that's the point you're trying to make, dear, okay, well done.
You made it.
It's 5:53.